Thank you so much, Bernard, for getting things started for us. For the record, today is June the 16th, 2022, and someone invited you to this program because they cared a lot about you, or you came because you care about someone, and you're looking to gather information that could potentially make a difference in someone's life and even impact your own life. Because this month we're talking about Alzheimer's and the brain. In fact, it's National Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month. And it just so happens that we have a brilliant scientist who's done a lot of research, and formulas that he has produced has a huge impact on every part of the body, including the brain. So we're looking forward to tapping into some of that information and giving ourselves an opportunity to get to know how we can use or take advantage of what Dr. Prasad has done. It is a big problem. There's no question about it. We're going to show you a couple things that illustrate that. Um, you'll see in one of the videos that we present, and a lot of the testimonials, you're going to find them to be quite telling. And you may even see some possibilities and hope for yourself or someone that you care about. But as we're discussing all these things, by the way, my name is Jonathan Jones, and I'm your host and moderator for the afternoon. It's my pleasure and privilege to have a share in presenting this information to you. But be aware that the FDA has not evaluated these statements. Testimonies that you're going to hear are purely anecdotal. What happens to one person may or may not happen to you. Results are atypical. Neither the Healthcare Support Association of America, Engage Global, Dr. Prasad, Jonathan Jones, or any of the authorized representatives are making any claims that any supplements that will be discussed or that we recommend will treat or cure any disease state. This presentation is for information and educational purposes only. It is not intended to be a substitute for visiting a primary healthcare physician. We strongly recommend that you seek the competent medical advice of professionals that you trust. But that having been said, you need to know that there are options, and that potentially there are things that that you can do that could make a huge difference. But to really just to lay the foundation for on this part of our discussion, we're going to share a clip from a documentary that was run during the pandemic. And this neuro-oncologist makes some interesting observations. The expression COVID brain, we heard that a lot during the pandemic. And even now, we're still talking about it, but the dialogue has shifted to some other things. But anyway, she's comparing COVID brain to chemo brain, and she carefully makes some comparisons, and really it's just really eye-opening. And then after we hear her comments, then we'll take some time to talk about or illustrate how potentially Dr. Prasad's formulations could make an impact, and hear from some actual individuals who have in fact used Dr. Prasad's formulas with interesting results. Let's just put it that way. Okay, so let's start the video.
Inflammation in the brain can cause dysregulation of a number of different cell types and have lasting consequences to cognitive function. Understanding that, when the pandemic struck and we saw how profoundly immunogenic, how profoundly inflammatory, even relatively mild cases of COVID could be, I really worried about a neurological health crisis. And I think we're watching that unfold right now. The rates of persistent cognitive symptoms in people who have recovered from COVID is frankly alarming. We need to understand how to intervene and offer effective therapy, or there are going to be just millions of people suffering with these persistent cognitive symptoms. I'm not an epidemiologist. I'm not a virologist. I'm a neurologist. But I am alarmed by the neurological possible consequences of this pandemic and alarmed by the neurological disease that's already evident in many, many, many survivors of COVID. Even from early in the pandemic, it was very clear to neurologists that COVID infection results in a remarkably high rate of persistent neurological symptoms, including quite a high rate of persistent cognitive symptoms that includes things like difficulty paying attention, difficulty with the speed of information processing, difficulty with concentration and memory. And that is something that we should all be paying a lot of attention to. That is really, really concerning. It's debilitating. People are just not returning to their previous level of function. And that's a major problem with 265 million people worldwide infected with COVID, and some estimates of as many as 1 in 4 people, at least prior to the time of vaccination, experiencing these cognitive symptoms. This is a neurological health crisis. I'm a neuro-oncologist, and one of my clinical specialties is to take care of people following cancer therapy who have persistent brain fog, cognitive impairment as a result of their cancer and its therapy. And this so-called chemo brain or chemo fog is very similar to what people are describing after COVID. And so this so-called COVID fog shares almost the identical symptoms. And what we're finding in the laboratory is that the two types of brain fog also share a lot of the very same cellular changes that we think are underpinning this sort of fogginess. We know that with severe COVID infection that many things can go wrong, that severe disease is associated with blood clots that can cause stroke, with even direct infection of the brain, and with the consequences of multi-organ disease and damage. But even after mild COVID, people were reporting persistent cognitive trouble. And I wondered whether the inflammatory response just to the respiratory infection might be enough to trigger neuroinflammation, inflammation in the brain, and consequently dysregulate these cells that are so important to keep in balance for healthy cognitive function. What we discovered in the laboratory in mice that have relatively mild respiratory COVID, and then in human samples, COVID elicits such a profound inflammatory response in the brain. And as a result of that, brain cells that need to work together in order to communicate and function normally were dysregulated. In severe cases of COVID, there can be direct infection of the brain, but in many cases, there's no evidence of virus in the brain. What's happening to affect the brain instead is a consequence of the immune response to the virus. And what we studied was how the immune response to infection that was limited to the respiratory system could cause inflammation in the brain through signaling molecules that go from the lung, through the blood, and to the brain. We found pretty high levels of inflammatory molecules called cytokines and chemokines in the central nervous system just from mild respiratory infection. And together with that, we saw inflammation in a particular kind of brain immune cell, which is called a microglia. When microglia and astrocytes become reactive, they then can cause dysregulation of another kind of glial cell that form the insulation around axons, quite literally like the insulation on a wire. When that happens, the neurons, the communicating cells in the brain, can't communicate with each other in their normal way, not as quickly and not as well. And so that can cause dysregulation of the whole circuit and cause cognitive impairment. This pathophysiology is particularly prominent in COVID.
Okay, just going to break in right there. She goes on to talk about how COVID started to have an impact on kids, the effect that it manifests, and exactly how kids began to exhibit neurological issues, very similar to what they were seeing there in COVID brain and with chemo brain. So there was no surprise there with that. But what I thought was interesting is that when we had this discussion with Dr. Prasad, little did he or any of us realize to what degree his formulas were actually having a hardcore impact on people. So I'm going to show you one story that does give some idea as to the effect that Prasad's formulas have been having on people with serious cognitive issues. So hang on just a second here. We got 2 or 3 of them that we want to share with you. And then the last one we're going to show you has to do with Alzheimer's itself. So you'll see. This is Barbara Green. Barbara Green, she might even be on the meeting right now. But she told this story once, and because she had noticed a major difference in how her brain was functioning. So she just broke in and just said, I the story.
Barbara Green, we'll take your question or comment, please.
Yes, I have some testimony, some things that I want to say that I have been dealing with. And I was on the microdaily ESP for 1 month. And
EMF?
I saw tremendous. I even was just taking 2 in the morning and 2 at night. And I was telling you some problems that I was having. You said increase it. And when I increase it, it eliminated the other issues. I just want to give you an idea of some of the things that I was suffering with. Number one, my balance. I would fall. They gave me an MRI. Was nothing wrong with my brain, nothing wrong with my ears. It was the fact my brain wasn't getting a connection to what it was supposed to do. So when I got on the EMS, I immediately stopped balancing. I started balancing. I was also going to physical therapy. That helped, but it didn't help like it, did until I got on the EMS. As well as I was tired. I didn't feel like doing nothing. I had pain constantly in my knee, my left knee. I had surgery. I had a knee replacement, and that didn't do me any good. Matter of fact, the chief doctor at Oxford said that I shouldn't have had the surgery because it was my back. I suffer with severe inflammation that automatically almost just lessened after 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks on the micronutrients. Then my brain, I couldn't remember nothing. I was forgetting. I have not been on it since January because I started in December the 27th. My orders still haven't came in yet. So I'm a testimony. Please get an extra bottle if you can, because if you run out, your body gonna tell you need your microdaily. And my pain came back. My mucus came back, and it's all from not being consistent with and even my appetite. I was telling you that I was losing weight, but then I started desiring sweets. You told me to get on the fatty meats, which is salmon,
Okay.
and I did it. My appetite went back. My weight, I'm at a standstill. But I'm sure when I get back my microdaily in my system, I'm going to be back on track. I'm serious. I could not live without it from what I've seen thus far. Another thing, I have eye problems really bad. I've had the cataract surgery, and I can't wait to get on the CBD, not the CBD, the ones for the eye.
Yeah,
and
the
then
eye
we're
boost.
not going to leave the CBD out because I'm depression. Anyway, we ain't going to even go there. Anxiety, all of the above. So I am really a living testimony that these micronutrients work, and in a short span of time for my body.
That's quite impressive and amazing. So sorry that you're having the issues. But
Now, she only talked about the benefits that she got from taking microdaily and all the products, the brain boost and everything else. She had severe memory issues, and she took the recommendation. She learned what microdaily was. She learned what brain boost was. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how those work in just a moment. She learned about the eye boost and the CBD. She knows that she needs to add all of that to just improve her health. But we'll break that down for you and let you just know exactly what she was taking. Now, the next story that you're going to hear, this woman was a nurse. She worked in the medical system, and she struggled with memory. She describes every aspect of it. You can still tell that there's some residual effect of it. And I think in every case that you hear someone talking about their cognitive function, you or I may look at it and say, wow, she's still having a little bit of trouble there. Because like Barbara was calling microdata EMS and ESP and who else? I mean, NBC and CBS or whatever else. But think about where they used to be. To get to the level of confidence where you can tell that story and say that this is day and night different. To recover any of your mental faculties, any of your neurological functionality, again, on any level, is a major, major accomplishment. And that's how they were feeling. So it's very interesting to hear that. So listen to this next woman. Again, she's a nurse, and she survived COVID. Okay, she's a COVID survivor. So she's exactly what that neuroscientist was talking about when she talks about COVID brain. And listen to the benefits of Dr. Prasad's formulas.
Inflammation in the brain can cause dysregulation.
Oh, wait, I got to take my brain boost. That's the wrong one. Where is she? Oh, here she is. It's the personal story. Camellia. That's right. Get ready to take another brain boost right now.
Let's see if that works.
Hi, it's Camellia.
Camellia, sorry.
No, that's okay. No one gets it right, but that's okay. Hi, Dr. Prasad. How are you, Bruce? I had COVID it's like a year and a half now, I believe. And I had really bad brain fog, and where I could not speak clearly. You know, I stumble over my words and my thoughts. I'm a nurse, okay? So it's kind of difficult to assess a patient or remember what medicines to give or how much, and did I get it right and stuff. So I've been off of work anyway for quite a bit of time since I got COVID. So Dr. Picola had introduced me to the micro EMF. Way before that, I had COVID, but I was getting that problem. But she introduced me just when I got bronchitis as well, and I was coughing a lot. And she was telling me that, you know, I was going to a wedding. You can't go to a wedding and be coughing. So she sent me the packet of the EMF and told me to open them up, open one every hour, and put it under my tongue, which, yes, it is a horrible taste. Like it's like you're putting dust in your mouth, and drink a lot of water. And I did that. And so that helped that with the cough. I didn't cough at the wedding at all. So that was a real gift there. And then with the brain fog, when she introduced me to get the packet, I didn't get Dr. Prasad's choice because I couldn't afford it, but I got the EMF, the brain boost, and the collagen. And I have to say that after taking the brain boost, it was such a pleasure to be able to speak a complete sentence without stumbling, you know, without, I couldn't think of simple words like go, stop, up, down, whatever. They weren't coming out of my mouth. And,
wow.
And it was so frustrating, and repeating myself and stumbling. And so I was able to really think straight, think clearer, remember things that I was like, wow, I can't believe I remembered that. You know, so, you know, and in medicine, you got to remember things, you know, what you're doing, why you're giving this medication, why you're doing that. And I was able to remember and recall. My recall was coming back. I was like, wow, this is unreal. You know, I was really impressed with it. And with my migraines, I have suffered from migraines since I was 18. I am 70 plus years old right now. And
before you go into that, Camellia,
Yes.
What year was that you said that you got COVID?
I got COVID in 2021. 2021. I think it was
2021.
I believe it's 2021. It was 2021. Yes.
And by that time, a vaccine was available. Since you're in the nursing profession, were you vaccinated also?
No, sir.
Oh, you had not gotten vaccinated. Okay.
No,
So you
refused.
came down with it, and but you were able to regain your cognitive function and your body function just using the micronutrients, as Dr. Picola told you.
Correct. And the other thing as well, due to the COVID, my CAT scan of my lungs, showed different nodules and stuff in it, and my pulmonary function test was bad as well. I couldn't.
Wow.
Yeah, I failed. I didn't do well with the first two pulmonary function tests that I had taken, and I was taking the EMF. I can't remember when I started. I'm sorry, I don't really remember when I started using it regularly. And I was told, take 5 before I get my CAT scan and 5 after. Mm-hmm. So I was doing that. And the third pulmonary function test and the third CAT scan had improved.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Well, thank you very much for sharing that. That is extremely helpful in us understanding the benefits of micro daily in dealing with this terrible viral infectious condition.
So there you have it. Kamalia tells her story in overcoming COVID, and in particular, again, the COVID brain. So her focus was completely on COVID brain. That's what we really had shared that with. I think that night we were talking about COVID and stuff like that. But, her body clearly was able to just overcome it. And so she developed some level of natural resistance to it. But she did what Dr. Picola told her. So Dr. PK said, open up those capsules and empty the contents under your tongue. And she described exactly what it tastes like. So we know she did it because, she told exactly what her reaction was to it. She didn't like it. It was nasty, tastes like dust in her mouth. But it stopped her from coughing, stopped her from going into decline. Did you hear what she said about her lungs? Anyway, all of those benefits. But the main thing was she couldn't remember simple things like go, up, down, simple words. She had COVID brain. And her body was able to get past that and was able to overcome it. So right now you're wondering, okay, we put the disclaimer up here because we just have to make sure that everyone knows it. Just because it happened to one person doesn't mean it's going to happen to you. So you're able to see that right after the testimonial. But here is the reason why the science is available to us. It's because of this gentleman, Dr. Kedar N. Prasad. He was the world's first radiation biology PhD. And his products have been awarded some 10 U.S. patents on micronutrients. And I believe he may have received another 1 or 2 since that statement was made. The National Institute of Health awarded him millions of dollars for research on human health. He also tapped into more than $12 million by the U.S. Congress. That was in developing the product MMF for the military and NASA. So his research made a huge impact there. In fact, that led to 8 of the patents that was awarded on his products initially. One of them was optimal health. That's the thing that I really appreciate the most. But he discovered the anti-cancer potency of vitamin E succinate. He also discovered that butyric acid is an anti-cancer agent. So you look up science, you want to know about gravity, you'll see Sir Isaac Newton. You want to know about vitamin E succinate and butyric acid, it's going to trace you back to Dr. Kedar Prasad. So he, among all of his hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of contemporary scientists who were very brilliant, he came up with at least 2 different things that no one had ever thought about. Then, as you'll see a little bit later on, he was published more than 250 times in peer-reviewed publications. So that means he's constantly cranking out scientific work and observation that was unique and added to the science base, the knowledge base of all scientists and the scientific community around the world. He was a professor at the University of Colorado School of Medicine, former president of the International Society of Cancer and Nutrition. He was invited to be a member of the Nobel Peace Prize nominating committee. So Dr. Prasad has been around the block a number of times. His medical papers, his research papers, his published documents have been referenced more than 450 times in PubMed. So scientists, hundreds of scientists, connect their research to Dr. Prasad's research. This is just a snapshot of some of the books that this man has written. And you'll notice that one of them stands out somewhat right in line with our subject matter. You see it there in the center of the screen, and we're talking center left. You'll see this one right here on Alzheimer's. So Dr. Prasad wrote a book on how vitamins and antioxidants can have an impact on Alzheimer's. He's got another one there. You can see it on Parkinson's and Huntington's, and a few others. I think PTSD is one of his books in here also. The most recent book that he wrote is called Dementia and Memory Loss. This is an educational book that's really written for the public, and it provides easy to follow guidelines on how to avoid the risk of memory loss. So if a person is going down that road, he put it pen to paper and just spelled out exactly what's needed to reduce or slow down the chances of that and dealing with this issue. But as long as we have it here, is Dr. PK, are you on now? Because Kamalia made reference to you in her story. Can you mind telling us a little bit about Kamalia, and did she stretch the truth any at all? Are you here, Dr. PK?
I am here. I'm just not visible today, unfortunately. But happy Father's Day to all of you fathers out here on this momentous day. And you're doing something phenomenal today with this memory loss thing. And as you were telling the story, as Kamalia was sharing her story, I had kind of forgotten about the fact that when we met, she was telling me how she was struggling with memory. And I was saying, girl, hey, you just gonna have to increase your products. You gotta remember, and she was wanting to go back to work. She wasn't working at the time. And you guys, let me tell you, Kamalia went back to work this month. She's teaching nurses who are dealing with those with chemical imbalances and abuse. And I said, girl, you in somebody's classroom teach. She said, and they paying me too, Dr. Picola. I owe you. They paying me to teach these nurses. I said, girl, girl, you better stay on these products. She says, I am. I'm doubling up just like you told me. So that's why she's not here today, because as you know, she's normally on everything. But now that she's going to work, she can't be on all of our. But can you all believe that this woman a year ago was off work, could not work because she couldn't breathe, she couldn't talk what the hoot, she couldn't think what the hoot. And now here she is. After using these products, they brought her back to work and paying her good money to teach nurses how to deal with folks who are dealing with chemical abuse. And this is amazing to me.
That's incredible. So
it's incredible.
You said double doses. You put her on a microdaily EMF.
Yes, I did.
The picture I have here is the hydro, but you had her on the capsule. So instead
I
of
had on the capsules because yes, when we started, we didn't have this. We had to. You guys, I thank God for the legacy team. We had to prove that the field could sell this before this was developed. So we didn't have this when we first came on, Jonathan. Do you remember?
Yes, I do.
Oh yeah, we didn't have this. We had to sell so many of the originals before we could prove that we could afford to put this one on the field.
It
And
wasn't a
this is
hard
a,
sell. People
it
needed
was
it so
not.
bad. It wasn't hard to sell.
It was not a hard sell at all. I remember when when Chavis came out here and said, Corleen said, "Oh, is that all we got to do?" Well, you all can start making them because we got that done, and we had it done too. I forgot
Yep.
how many they said that they wanted sold. I forgot all of that, but hey, you and Corleen said we were gonna do it. We did it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, this stuff is just incredible. So you put her on now. The equivalent of one stick pack of Hydro is 3 capsules. So you
I
put
put
her
on
on
three.
6 capsules twice a day.
3 capsules twice a day was what she started off with. That wasn't
That's what
doing
she
good.
started with.
I said, "Girl, double that. You got to double up. You aren't getting the kind of results that we need."
Okay.
And we doubled up. And being that she was out of work and she was just such a good person, you all got to realize this is a woman I've never met, but it feels like she is my sister for real. She'll call and tell me stuff, and I said, "Just check your box. I'm sending you this." I just invested in her product until she got to the point where she could, she said, "You don't have to send any more. I got a little something coming in." I said, "Good girl, because you digging in my pocket a little too much." But yes, she took I insisted that she double up on everything. This product here for real, she doubled up on.
Okay, well, this would have a huge impact neurologically, no question about it. So for those who are here for the first time, the reason why Dr. PK could tell her and feel confident in making this recommendation is not just because all the vitamins you see, although every single vitamin that you see on this list is extremely beneficial and valuable. Notice that one of them that stands out here, this vitamin E succinate, right? That's the one that
Yeah.
Dr. Prasad, it was the one who discovered that it has anti-cancer properties, but it crosses the blood-brain barrier. So not only does it have anti-cancer properties, it also produces a feeling of well-being. So you also feel better as a result of getting microdaily in your body. That's just one thing. The next thing that you'll benefit from a neurological and central nervous system point of view, is this vitamin B9. B9 and of course B12 will give you energy, but B9 critical for the central nervous system. And then this one down here, this N-acetylcysteine, that's going to raise glutathione. Everything you see down here on the bottom, N-acetylcysteine, alpha-lipoic acid, and the coenzyme Q10, that's all about glutathione levels. What's glutathione? That's what pulls toxins out of the body. And toxins include the spike protein. There's clinical studies showing that N-acetylcysteine and glutathione both bind to the spike protein. So it's no surprise that she got benefits and her cognitive function improved and her ability to overcome the health issues she had because of what she was dealing with took place. Her immune system got stronger. Dr. Prasad's formula simply works. But Dr. PK, you also put her on a brain boost too?
Yes.
Wasn't satisfied
Absolutely.
with just microdaily.
Because I knew that the brain needed a little boosting, and so we went with that as well. And
Okay.
she everything that I suggested to her that she used it, and so I added that to it as well.
Excellent. And you doubled her up on this too.
Absolutely. If
Okay.
you read the directions on it, it will tell you one in the morning and one in the afternoon, I think, or something like that. But anyway, I know it was one. I told her she need to take two. If it said one, take two.
That's
And
it.
she did. Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you. I'm so glad that that became clear, and glad that you could add to this and give us her current update, because we wouldn't have known that. This woman is back to work and she's teaching nursing.
And the amazing thing is she's over 70.
Oh my goodness. Okay, now that's an
I
important
mean,
fact.
with energy and working and doing all of this over 70.
Wow.
That's amazing. Isn't that
You,
amazing?
you know, long COVID is a real thing. There are people right now to this day that are still suffering from long COVID.
And
They're
and
still
and the sad
having.
thing is, Jonathan, many of them don't even know that that is what they're suffering from. I've had
That's
some
right.
people say to me, "Oh, my head is hurting so bad, and I just can't get rid of this headache, and this and that and the other." And I'm saying, "Did you have COVID?" "Yeah, I did, but I got over that a long time ago. I don't test positive for COVID anymore." "I know, but you have long COVID. You have the symptoms of, and you are suffering from ever being diagnosed with COVID. Didn't anybody tell you that that these things here will occur and that you need to deal with those on another level?" "No, no, 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 ma'am." I said, "Oh, okay, good. Let me tell you, this is
Mhm.
what you need. You need these micronutrients here that Dr. Prasad have developed for long COVID." And the good thing is, you guys, we have the science and the information that Dr. Prasad makes readily available for us so that you can have. And Jonathan, you do a phenomenal job educating us on what we actually have. I don't think many of us understand, Jonathan, what we have in our hands.
No, I 100% agree. I think we don't fully appreciate it, but it's because of well, we work together, all of us. We're working together, and we're not going to stop because people need to know that there's
They
something that they
do.
can do. There's
Yes.
something they can do. So, thank you so much, Dr. PK,
Thank you. Thank
for
you for
adding.
asking me to come up.
Nope, much appreciated.
Okay.
One additional thing that would be important because of the gut-brain connection is probiotic daily. Now, I'm sure that we didn't have this around that time, but Dr. Prasad since formulated the probiotic daily, and the man didn't just throw a bunch of probiotics and prebiotics together in a capsule and say, "Here, take this because you need it." He went through very specifically and identified the best of the best, the ones that were already FDA approved for children, the ones that were acid resistant, and the ones that were heat resistant. And if you do the research, you see that lactobacillus, you'll find there's a direct connection between its ability to bind to the spike protein as well. Huge, very important. So, oh, and there's also components in here that will, bind to and get rid of things like E. coli and other things in the gut. So the probiotic, Dr. Prasad's formula is absolutely the best. You don't need, I used to recommend to our clients that they take 50 billion international units of probiotics at least daily. But since coming in contact with Dr. Prasad's formula, that's completely overkill. And the reason they have to go with 50 billion or those super high numbers is because most of it is destroyed in the gut, not Dr. Prasad's. Most of his, all of it, works in the gut, survives the gut, and makes its way right to where it's supposed to be to give you the most benefit. So the gut-brain axis is important. That vagus nerve, it's important. Intestinal dysbiosis can contribute to dementia and Alzheimer's. Intestinal biosis can bring everything into balance. So, and that's where this is critically important. So really those three products by themselves are the most important components you can have when it comes to Alzheimer's and the brain. Now, I'm going to share with you another story. This is directly related to Alzheimer's itself before we conclude our discussion, because I think you need to know this one. This is one we've shared this in the past, but I think it's important to just hear this one again. I may speed it up a little bit just to make sure that we get it all in, but you'll appreciate it because this is Michi Morris, and the updates that we got on Michi Morris was phenomenal. So even though you're hearing the very beginnings of it, take note of her taking note. Michi Morris taking note of her mother who suffered with Alzheimer's for years. Okay, so let's see if we can't bring Michi Morris into our discussion. Where are you, Michi Morris? Speak on.
Michi, tell us what's the rest of your name, Michi, if you don't mind.
Morris.
Okay, Michi Morris. Well, it's nice to meet you, Michi Morris, and thank you so much for being willing to tell us whatever it is you have to tell us. So we're looking for all ears.
Yes. thank you for this opportunity, or space rather. It makes it even more special. I had no idea this is what the topic was today, Alzheimer's. I had no idea.
The brain. The brain. So we're talking about the brain. So go ahead.
The brain, yeah. So my husband just, was inviting me through Rob. I really don't personally know him, but I know we started with the products. And the collagen, I started my mother on the collagen, I think last Tuesday is when we received it. Now, my mother has been diagnosed with the Alzheimer's for, I guess, about 10 years. So no focus. 10 years, yes. So no focus, just kind of staring. She's 86 years old. So she's just basically kind of staring. Sometimes we put on gospel music. She'll kind of move her head, that type of thing. Sometimes I'll tell her an old story about her grandmother and she may give a laugh. Other than that, no, she can still walk on her own, that type of thing. But I started the collagen on last Tuesday. And on top of that, last Thursday, she was diagnosed with COVID. And so she had a lot of mucus. Yes. So she had a lot of mucus on her chest. So we received the products. I started giving her collagen in her Ensure. Because that's the only way, even her medicine, she just, she chews them. So I started putting it in her insurance, sometime in the cereal. And then the brain boost, I only gave her about 2 brain boosts because my brother is dealing with pancreatic cancer. So my first order, I wanted to send that over to him and get him going right away. So it was round about this week. I think it was round about Friday. We was taking her, on her daily walks. She had more clarity. She was pushing her walker. The neighbors was like, we haven't seen her in a while, and they was calling her name. And she stopped and turned around and waved to them.
Oh my.
And she had not done something like that in 2 or 3 years. And her foot that she was dragging, she was able to keep up with her walker. And then I think it was that Friday morning when I put her in the shower, which she has to lift her leg over the tub. And so I shared with her, I said, why don't you try and wash your face with the washcloth? And this is something she has not done in 2 or 3 years. I would have to bathe her. And just with that one prompting, she started washing her face, and she continued to wash her neck, and she continued to wash her body. And I'm like, whoa. And then when I went around to pick up and get some more soap, she had stepped out of the tub on her own, 1, 2, without falling. And I'm like, oh, whoa, wait a minute, hold up. And the only thing I noticed, and it's been different things. I've called my brother after that, and she said, good morning. She said, good morning to him. She had not said anything like that to them in 5 years when they would call. And then last night, my husband and I was going to bed. He's online, and she goes, y'all, I'll see you. She has not had a sentence of 4 or 5 words like that in years. And I'm like, what is going on? Could this be? So the only thing I know is the collagen I've given her for about 7, 8 days. She missed 2 days last week. And this morning I did not give it to her. I gave her the brain booster, and she only had about 3 brain boosters. Wow. So that's the only thing other that I've noticed I've been doing. So
I'm
different. Yeah.
I'm speechless right now, Michi Morris.
Yeah.
I'm speechless.
Now they go on to describe a few other interesting things that they noticed with her mom. And remember now, she's been suffering with this Alzheimer's for about 10 years or so. So this was not something brand new. And when we asked Dr. Prasad to comment on this and exactly what it was that was taking place, he said specifically that they have now determined that even when the brain cells begin to die, there's a stem cell that's left behind. That stem cell is there and can rejuvenate and come back. So the components that he put in the brain boost is like food for the neurons. It's food for neurons. So that's the reason why his formula can be so beneficial. And there's something else that you need to be aware of. You might have heard Michi Morris make reference to collagen. Now, at the time, the collagen had only recently been released. So we hadn't had that for very long. The omega-3 daily, by the way, is just recently out, but this phenomenal for the brain and for the heart. So we know everyone has to probably already know how good omega-3 is, period. Just having it. But Dr. Prasad's formula helps with the inflammation everywhere. So the heart benefits and the brain benefits. But I want to just tell you a little bit about this collagen daily. Collagen daily has so many benefits. These are peptides now. So it's not the actual collagen itself, because if you eat collagen, it's not necessarily going to do you any good. But if you eat the peptides allows your body to convert them into the collagen that's needed wherever it's needed the most. It can convert it into the specific collagen for the brain, for the joints, for the bone, for the muscle, for wherever it needs to go, because there's, a couple dozen different types of collagen. So the peptide can have great benefits for the brain. And Michi Morris said she began to give her mom the collagen peptide. So this would be an extremely important thing. One of the things that collagen peptide does is it blocks beta amyloids. Now, glutathione is important for helping to remove toxins from everywhere in the body. But beta amyloids is a protein that when it is left in the brain, it can do damage to very specific neurons, the neurons that lead to dementia, lead to Alzheimer's. It can do damage to those. So interrupting what beta amyloids is trying to do is beneficial for someone who's having neurological issues. Michi Morris put her mom on Micro Daily. She put her mom on Brain Boost, and she put her mom on Collagen Daily, and she began to see good results. So I know personally, I just don't want to go down that road. So not one day goes by that I don't take Micro Daily. The whole combination of them is what I'm telling you. So I take them, and I take a little extra of the collagen. I have no Alzheimer's in my family. I had no dementia in my family. Oh no, on my father's side, I did have some family members. One of his sisters, I think, had some dementia issues, but I don't recall anyone else in the family that had that. But either way, I want every bit of brain cells that I can hang on to. So I'm holding on to them, and I'm keeping them there personally. But that's not neither here nor there. For those who are dealing with dementia or Alzheimer's, these products don't treat, cure, or heal. However, they do help the body do what it's designed to do. So it's nutrition for the body. And Dr. Prasad's formulas in particular are extraordinary. Okay. You also notice one other thing on here, two things I want to point out on Dr. Prasad's formula is these two things here, this amla fruit. You see it listed on the list of ingredients there, the amla fruit and the white tea. The amla fruit and the white tea is part of the enzymes that he added to his formula that's unique. This is patented now, by the way. This is a patented formula. It's the only one on the market that has put these enzyme inhibitors in it. Now, enzyme inhibitors, once we turn age 20, we begin to make an enzyme that depletes collagen in the body. That's why we begin to show signs of age starting from age 20. The older we get, the greater the enzyme activity is. Dr. Prasad put enzyme inhibitors in his collagen peptide formula. So you keep what you make. You understand that? You keep what you make. And that's the difference between Dr. Prasad's collagen peptide than anyone else on the market. It is unique and better than anything else out there, far superior. So here's what you do. We're not National Cancer Survivors Day. This is Alzheimer's month. Anyway, you get the idea. That's an old slide and it didn't change. But the core four puts everything together, except one thing that you'll notice is specifically mentioned, missing there, but we'll show you that in just a second. So you get everything in one bundle by just ordering the core four. Dr. Prasad recommends that you add digestive boost. That also will help with the intestinal dysbiosis. It's like putting teeth in your stomach, basically. So if you didn't chew it up properly, which most of us don't chew our food properly, this is like adding some more chewing action down in your gut. It chops up food so your body can process it properly. Getting a good night's sleep is critically important also for anyone who's having any sort of neurological issues. Don't have to say much about that, but I take 3 of those every night, and that works for me along with 2 of these. And I'm able to get my 8 hours of sleep because of that combination. It really works very, very nicely for me, the CBD boost. None of this is taken from any illegal substances like marijuana. This all comes from hemp, and it's guaranteed for that. Okay, so here's a slide that puts it all together for you, or begins to put it all together for you. If you went and bought these individual items, it will cost $310. If you broke it down to the ingredients on each of the bottles, it will cost you probably close to $1,000. If you went and tried to buy the individual ingredients making up these formulas, that's what it will cost. But the retail cost of these bottles alone is $310. If you buy it as an affiliate, which is like what I am, you would get a 25% discount. That takes you down to somewhere in the area of $225 or so. But Engage Global has decided to subsidize your health. They've reduced it even further and brought it down to $199.99. So that's below the wholesale cost. Okay, I hope you guys understand that. So this is the best way to make that purchase if you're trying to get the products into your hands. And then this month, because it's Brain Awareness Month, because it's Alzheimer's Awareness Month, Engage Global decides to just, for anybody who decides to buy a Core 4, you're going to get a free bottle of the Brain Boost. So I don't think we even need to say anything else after that. That's just the way to go. Get yourself on the Core 4 and the Brain Boost. Dr. PK, Dr. Picola put Camellia on double micro daily EMF. So you can double up on that. Any of these items that if you can afford, the budget will allow it for it, then double up and do any of the things that you heard suggested by individuals who tried that path. But Dr. Prasad's recommendation is what you see on the screen right here. And that should be good enough to at least get a start. The only challenge is you have to stay on it long enough to make a difference. So it takes 90 days minimum for it to really get into your system to see if it's going to benefit you. And someone who's got dementia or Alzheimer's, it could take a little bit longer than that. Interesting that Michi Morris indicated that her mom's benefits were seen within a very short period of time. So it didn't take long for her to see results. In fact, it was right within the first week or so, she began to see a difference. But again, testimonials are anecdotal. What happens to one person may or may not happen to you. If you cannot afford the full-blown Core 4, that's understandable. Go with what you can afford. I recommend that you, on a minimum, go with the basic bundle, which is this one. The retail price on this is $164. And the subscription price, go on subscription, by the way. Whatever you do, go on subscription. That's the way to go. Because you get the cheapest price and even a greater discount than you ordinarily would, even as an affiliate, buying them separately. So get these two at the very least, and then add the Brain Boost to it. Because you will be buying it on a subscription, that would only be another $34 added to that $110. Okay, so that's your best minimal collection of the products. Now, if you want to step it up just a little bit more, then there's another option. You can also go with the premium bundle and add the Brain Boost to that if you want the collagen. Wait a minute, I'm going so fast there. You can have instead of the basic bundle, you can go with the premium bundle, which is what you see in the middle there. That gets you the collagen also. Then you can add the brain boost to that. So just, it's very simple. I know this is kind of confusing, so you don't have to try to follow everything that I'm telling you. Just get back with the person who invited you to this discussion, and they'll guide you. They'll help you to put the package together that's best for you, or best for you and the person that you care about. So they'll guide you along. Okay. So now, before we take a couple of questions, I want to just let you be aware that next week, Jeff Ashby is going to be handling our program for us. Everyone Has a Story. So you get to hear more details, because I'm pretty sure Dr. Prasad will probably be available on that meeting also. But you get to tell your stories that day. So that's the day that you get to share benefits that you've had in general from any of the Engage global products. So take a screenshot of this and make sure that you invite anyone, because out of all the videos that get viewed on my channel, it seems that the Everyone Has a Story videos seem to get viewed the most. So folks want to hear all the testimonies. And remember, what you've heard today has not been evaluated by the FDA. Testimonies are purely anecdotal. Results are atypical. What happens to one person may or may not happen to you. This is not intended to be a substitute for a visit to your primary health care professional. We strongly recommend that you seek the competent medical advice of professionals that you trust. We are not making any claims that any of these products will cure, treat, or heal. This has been for information and educational purposes solamente. So we've just about used up all of our time, and I apologize for that. We've gone like a minute or two over, but I'm going to be a real gentleman about it and blame Bernard for it. That's what I call passing the buck, and I'll just say it's all Bernard's fault because he didn't let us get started early enough. I'm just kidding, folks. I'm just talking. But if we do have a quick question, someone wants to kick in a quick question, now's the time for you to do it. Go ahead real quick, and because the music is starting and we're going to be wrapping this up. Next week, at the end of the month, we're also going to be talking about how you can take charge of your health. So it's things that we're going to be doing with that. All right, good. That means there's no questions. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bernard,
thank you, Jonathan. Unmute everyone. Unmute and say thank you to Jonathan.
Thank you so much for what you did. Thank you to everybody for all you contribute to this program today. Thank you. My team 615.
Thank you, Dr. PK. Thank you, Curly, for such good leadership.